All right, good afternoon, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Thursday, December 22nd. Lighter crowd here, of course, heading into the holiday weekend, Christmas weekend here. So great to see Leda and Mark. All of us just here. Otherwise, I saw Allison just a moment ago, just saw Mike just now, Norman and Michael D. We still have a few more of us. Otherwise, great to see Dan, Andre, Mark, Ron. And if you're just joining us back on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back as well. So, market took another huge hit here today. Ended up just bouncing now recently after or just prior to 2 o'clock. Normally, you'd expect that quote unquote reversal time to take place around 10:30 ish, give or take a few minutes. But after a period of consolidation, we didn't really get much of a bounce within the SPY, the S&P, the markets alike, and with that, it ended up leading to a new low. So another drop, and then we ended up seeing the SPY bounce roughly from around 375, a little underneath that price. But nevertheless, though, the stock on the screen here to begin, EJH. It's funny, one of my students, Mark, just chatted me earlier. Hey, like you have this penny stock, EJH up. Listen, not a penny stock, and Mark knows that. It's just to say that this is a stock that was under $1, just like earlier today and from the past couple of days, probably for a little while. And with that, it ended up making a huge push today. It also popped yesterday as well. It's up over 100% from yesterday. So with saying that, at some point, the show will be over, right? At some point, this will look to make a pullback or lower highs. It ended up running up just a moment ago from our call out, at least off of $1, and ended up topping off right under 120. So now at this point, you could see the lower highs being built. Got to be careful on this trade. And I'll tell you what, even once more, this stock for $1 stock, cheap dollar stock, this order book is actually terrible for this type of stock, for this inexpensive trade. So I'm not too keen to put this on our watch list. I'm gonna just start by putting this on the side. Maybe I'll come back to this by the end of it all. I feel like with such a big spread, order book isn't terribly illiquid, but you got a spread there. So in that regard, it's going to be tough to get in and out of, especially on a false break. The ISO, though, as we go from top to bottom now, recapping a couple of the stocks that we ended up putting on our watch list from earlier, or at least, trading otherwise. Heading into a holiday weekend, you shouldn't expect much. I did not, at least, but I ended up missing out on the ISO with that in mind. So, a bunch of our students did pretty well on this trade, kind of scalping it in and out. But, at least after 10 o'clock, I wasn't expecting continuation. It was just grinding up and up higher. So, ended up making that lovely push that you would hope to see happen. Ended up topping off the time all the way up as high as 175, then broke higher heading into the mid-afternoon. So, again, normally for a stock like ISO, I don't think that we've ever really traded this thing before, or at least certainly of recent. So if I zoom back out on the daily chart here, it looks like a new IPO back from last year, popped up to 16 plus, and then came all the way down to sub $1. Sub 50 cents, really, if you zoom in on the chart. So, with that, I mean, heading into the day today, we weren't expecting to see this top off just under $2. So the show might be over on this also, like the EJH trade. So I'll come back to this at the end. Not really fully committed to it just yet. All right, got to expand this little price column here, and it always throws me off. All right, so let's go over the ape trade next, AMC dividend stock. So there was a reverse split news that came out on AMC today, I think 1 for 10, ended up leading to a huge drop off. It was pretty odd to see ape. This was actually moving inverse to AMC. Every time AMC dropped off and tanked, this actually popped and bounced, and the vice versa. But that only lasted so long. That lasted until 10 o'clock, really from pre-market up until 10 o'clock. So, that was pretty nice to have. But ape right now, at least, trying to move back up, at least across the afternoon. I'm not fully sold on this yet. A huge level I was watching with one of our students earlier in coaching, Felix. It was off of 124. This actually had a pretty nice fib level right there. Let me actually put that up right now. If it wasn't the retracement, it was the extension. So bingo right there. So we were watching that after 10:30, myself and Felix, and we saw it snip above it. We didn't take the trade. We were waiting for a couple of other shakes there to it, more buying, and didn't get it. So just dropped back down. We didn't enter the trade. Ended up making a nice bounce roughly from here, roughly off the 50% line, I think that is, or if not, the 61.8 that is off of 103. So, that was nice to have happen. I didn't take that trade, but, right now this is trying to push back up towards this next fib level off 124, and it's over the VWAP too. That's also a big talking point. So Is it possible for this to run up higher into the close? It is. And it's a pretty liquid stock too. Unlike the EJH, this has a really tight spread. I like that part. So, normally where I wouldn't put a stock as exhausted as the ape trade on our watch list for the afternoon, I don't mind at least giving it a look. It's kind of low risk to do that right now. Just be careful of this 124 though. If it makes a false break and then tanks right back below it, then that's a huge red flag. All right, PRQR. This actually treated me pretty nicely in pre-market heading into the open. Got out after 9 o'clock, just right around 9:02, 9:03 in the morning, just as Fausto started. You don't want to hold on to a trade like that heading into the open. Typically, you'll see sell-off or otherwise consolidation. You want to give yourself some time to prep your other trades heading into the open. Like the ISO, the ape stock, otherwise, and the QR here ended up consolidating. It pulled back, and otherwise, I guess across the early afternoon, popped back up again, made it like a little play for you, but not a whole lot to write home about here since the pre-market. Ended up flattening out otherwise. ORIC, this one ended up having a nice pop. It took its sweet time, though, to make this squeeze up, though. So, I wasn't there for the taking on that. Broke over the VWAP, made a nice pop, at least up towards 525. APCX, we'll kind of just skim through the gainer side now. Again, heading into a holiday weekend, especially on a down market day like this, I wouldn't expect for there to be too many eyeballs out there on too many big, volatile stocks out there. If there is anything that pops off of news, then we'll certainly react. Or if there's anything on its own accord making a pop that, I wasn't expecting, then we'll definitely consider. But this is kind of the theme of the day right now. DBGI is a former runner. We ended up doing pretty well on this trade heading back into the end of November. Again, as a day trade, not as a swing trade. So it looks like historically this thing's took a huge hit. But, today up over 21%. I didn't really see this until right now. Looking at the chart, it's hard to ignore, right? It's hard to not put this on our watch list. Looking at the chart, perfect uptrend right near the highs. Just the order book's a little skimpy, a little thin. So just be careful there. But for right now, we'll put this on our list, the DBGI trade. There we go. There's one. Wasn't expecting that. DCFC, we ended up calling this one out earlier today. Fausto did it first. A few more of us, like Norman, jumped in on this thing, I think. Ran up towards 165, 167. Pulled back, nasty shake. So, that I'm not a fan of. Seeing it make that second win type of move like you're seeing now, you normally don't expect the higher high for this to make as good of a run as it made from the morning session. So I'm not fully committed to this just yet. It looks like it could be interesting, but I'll come back to this. There's a few that I'll come back to. This and the EJH, the ISO, those are all on the side list. Did I click on BLI yet? BLI is still trading some decent volume per minute, about 18,000 shares per minute. Order book is still pretty liquid, and it just broke under and over from 3. So that could be some support building. Another stock I'll kind of just put on the side list. I wouldn't mind slipping this just on our main list by the end of it all. Got to be picky and choosy on a day like today. Market's down today. I mean, you got a couple of these ETFs like Cold that made a big pop earlier today. I know Chuck took advantage of this one earlier today, and it's up big, trading some good volumes. So, right now I'll slip this back on our main watch list, the Cold, breaking above the highs that we had back from the beginning of this month. UVXY, when the markets are down, this typically runs up, VIX ETF. So right now it's just kind of slow and choppy. I'm not too, interested in this right now, but the Cold, I definitely am. All right, so let's wrap up the gainer side here, folks. Probably not going to find a whole lot that's, up otherwise. We did good on APE and the DBGI so far. Hopefully that continues. Yeah, Bivy, BIVI. This thing's been on like a weird move up, on a tear back from early November, but we really focused on it from the beginning of this month. Popped up towards 14, dumped right back down, and then right now it's just not trading good enough volume on the order book. CLF, kind of a sideless stock, today up big, but again, just trying to make that second win type of move right now. It's not going to be as good or advantageous, compared to the morning pop. All right, so let's hop over to the loser side right now, folks. Just if there's anything else that you see that looks good, type it in the chat board. Goes across the board for all of us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, or of course for all of us inside the trading room. I'll check the chat in just a moment. SOXL ETF. I mean, hey, semiconductor ETF. Fausto was calling out the Fausto flag on SOXS, and that was from earlier this morning. Beautiful flag that led to a huge pop breakout. So with that, SOXL semiconductor ETF ended up dropping off, bearish flag inversely. So this is the ETF that you'd see AMD following, Intel, Micron, Nvidia mainly, right? So as a day trade, I wouldn't be too opposed, I guess, of putting AMD in particular on our watch list. A little bit more expensive, yes, but order book pretty liquid. It's a name brand stock, so I am breaking that rule as well. But if you're more of a level 3 trader and up, you certainly know what to do on a stock like AMD. Definitely has some good iceberg levels, so I don't mind actually putting this on our main list for right now. All right, so before I go too much more on a tangent there, we were talking about SOXL that led me to AMD. So, we had 8 before. Here's AMC, as we go down the losers list here still. So this is pretty interesting, right? This ended up popping. We ended up seeing the ape trade dump off at that point. Then when ape pulled back up, this one ended up dropping off. Now they're not really making that inverse move right now, so don't rely on that, please. But that was like just very odd to see from the market open and pre-market at least. But pass on that for right now. Wayfair dropped off from earlier. You could say in hindsight that looks like a pretty good short. It's always easy to say things in hindsight, right? JKS, just not enough volume on the order book for that. AEHR, not much happening there. All right, folks, I'll need your help. If there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5% that looks good, type it in the chat board. Definitely let me know. Got nada on YouTube, and that's all right. I mean, hey, today's been relatively a drag since the market flattened out. So if there's anything else that looks good, let me know. From Ravina, OP, and Grom, Grom's not going to do anything right now. And same with OP. Those are unfortunately busts, both of them. They were from pre-market heading into the open. I personally was pretty interested in Grom and pre-market until I realized that there was no news off of it, really, no real news catalyst. And often, at least, I don't want to say always, but often when there's no news catalyst and the volume dies off, that's where you tend to see the thing just completely reverse, go back down. It could be on the top of or it could be on the gainers list at one point, and then later in the day, as you're seeing obviously now, it could end up on as much as on the loser side. So OP down over 24% right now. That thing was up big today in pre-market. Rob, same thing. It's a shame, right? You don't want to get stuck holding on to these things. That's the issue, right? You got to make sure that your stops are set. From Mark, which I will jump to a stock that he didn't call out just there, but he had called it out earlier. So since I saw his name, I'm like, all right, let me check out MP again. So MP, which I'm just catching again right now, we were following this heading into the early afternoon, dropped down towards 24, held just slightly above it. It's just shortable, and it's pulling back down right now, it seems, from 25. So could be a nice continued drop off here, the MP trade. Then for Mark's call out right now, T-Doc. Yeah, T-Doc also looking pretty good as a short mark. Nice call. Yeah, I'll put this on our watch list too. From Leda, I'm sorry, seeing CCL taking a hit. Yeah, down big, but it's just like I feel like it's too slow right now. Ended up dropping off beautifully from after the market opened up. So, with the earnings that came out yesterday, right, led to a weird squeeze. We took advantage of the run up. I chased it, I don't want to say chased it. I ended up missing a good chunk of the action. I ended up getting it from a higher level, and at that point there was still some money to be made on it, but otherwise today down big and likely off that earnings report that came out there, right? So right now I think it's just a little too slow, a little too exhausted right now, this stock. As I scroll up, I'm sorry. From Karen THMO. Nah, this thing's not really doing much. It's on a huge spread too. DCFC going back to this one right now. I just made that rounded top, so that second win type of move I think is kicking in, and I don't know if it's going to make as good of a squeeze. This thing is all over the map. Are you kidding me? This just dropped from 108 all the way down to 95 cents, then spiked right back on up to 110 in a matter of like 15 minutes. This is like a level 5 stock, folks. So, I would trade this on very small shares, even though it's $1. Please, don't shoot yourself in the foot right before Christmas weekend or Hanukkah. We're still doing Hanukkah right now. So, with that in mind, got some things to be thankful for, some good things to celebrate, good time to be with family. Don't shoot yourself in the foot and try and trade this thing at the right place, wrong time, and get smashed. So it's on a bit of a spread. Hopefully more eyeballs catch this trade to where the order book fills in more. I'm going to put this on our list with this spike back up, but definitely be careful here for the EJH. All right, so we got the EJH, the DCFC, not as much. The ISO here, not as much. And then BLI, it's kind of lingering over 3. I feel like it's going to break lower to 290 or the VWAP there first. It doesn't hurt us to put this on the back end of our list for right now. It's tradable. So there we go, folks. So with that in mind, for all of us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, if you're not catching us tomorrow, whether it be in the morning or the afternoon, I may as well say now ahead of time, happy holidays to you, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all of which you celebrate. So with that in mind, if you have any other questions or anything that you'd like to send over my way, I always like to post my email here at the end of the stream, josh@c2trading.com. Otherwise, if you wanted to join us inside our live trading room, you could always set your trial to begin on Tuesday of next week. I was about to say Monday. We're observing Christmas within the market here. So, of course, the 25th on Sunday, we got Christmas. Then after that, on Monday, the 26th, folks, keep in mind, market's going to be closed. So if you wanted to join us inside our live trading room, just for all of us on YouTube or Facebook Live, set your trial to begin on Tuesday. Just go right down to the link on the green banner below the stream, and you could call our office as well and just talk to one of our education advisors. They'll be able to set your trial to begin on a specific date. But for Michael and for Norman and for Leda and just all of us there live right now, Phil and Jeff and all of us included, I'll be in the chat board up until 3:30. I'll be here tomorrow. So for anyone sticking around for tomorrow, I look forward to seeing all of us at least come back tomorrow before the weekend. But with that in mind, hopefully we have a nice afternoon, folks, right? I'll talk to you soon. Take care.